Hey, it's Nick, and I'm going to show you how you can get your very first AI automation agency client with $0. This isn't a hack, it's not a trick, it's just something that works reasonably well right now, and I'm going to show you how to do everything top to bottom. First, I'm going to give you a $0 tool stack you can use, completely free, where every software platform here won't cost you a dime. Then I'm going to run through the approach we're going to apply, and then finally I'm going to give you a simple list of daily actionables that you can follow immediately, that means today, to get you that first automation agency client. I scaled my own automation agency to $72,000 a month employing a very similar approach, and this video is just going to give you the sauce. You guys ready? Let's get into it. All right, let's just dive right into it. I'm going to start off by showing you guys the approach. And then after I'm done showing you what the approach looks like, I'll cover the specific software platforms used to get these $0 clients. Not clients that pay you $0, but clients for $0. And then after that, I'll give you guys an actual walkthrough of the entire process from start to finish. And then finally, I'll give you guys like a daily prescription of recommended minimums to hit in order to maximize the quality of this lead generation. As I've mentioned, this is just something that is working right now, works quite well, in fact. And there are over 1,000 people in my communities across both of them, Make Money with Make and Maker School, that are employing a very similar approach right now, although they are spending a little bit of money, which tends to make a few steps easier. I'll get into that in a second. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're basically going to scrape leads. Now, this isn't exactly rocket science. The vast majority of the time, if you want to get up and running with some sort of lead generation approach and you have no money to spend, like we can't just buy ads, for instance, we have to do what's called outbound outreach. So we have to reach out to people that might be interested in procuring our products or services, and we're basically trading the time that we're spending doing this for money. If you do some other lead generation approach, like pay-per-click ads, for instance, or I don't know, organic media or whatnot, you know, the equation is similar. You are still investing something. It's just typically what you're investing is in a different form. You're investing capital or money as opposed to time. In our case, you know, I'm assuming you have plenty of time, just not a lot of money. So we're going to do outreach. And in order to do outreach, we need the leads. After we've scraped the leads, we need to reach out to them. The way that cold outreach works is in order for somebody to take you seriously, because in reality, they're getting hit up by like dozens of other people a day, you need to give them something valuable. It's just to cut through the noise. And so what I like to do in order to give people something valuable is I like to record custom videos using a platform called Loom, which I'll show you guys how to do in a second. These custom videos essentially are going to solve some problem for the prospect, or lead, I should say. And in exchange for this value, they're going to give you a little bit of their time and basically allow you to pitch them. That's more or less how this works. So it's all in an equation at the end of the day. After you're done recording the custom videos, we obviously need to send them. So the way that we're going to be doing it today is we're going to be sending them in two ways. We're going to be doing it via email and DM. DM, of course, stands for direct message, and DMs could be like LinkedIn, I don't know, Instagram, and then also Twitter. And I like how my writing's already getting shittier and shittier the more I scroll down. So the reason why we're doing this on multiple platforms, maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and email, is that we're basically going to do what's called a double tap. We're going to maximize the probability that they see the outreach that we're sending. And by hitting them on 3 or 4 different platforms, we're basically finding a way to recoup our sunk cost in that customized video, because the customized video is going to take us a couple minutes in order to record. We might as well try and recoup that sunk cost as much as possible by improving the likelihood that somebody sees the video. The gambit that we're going to be making is that somebody sees the video where we give them a ton of value and they're just so overwhelmed. They're like, my goodness, these guys are good. I might as well send them a response. So that's the whole gambit. That's kind of where it all rests on. And that's more or less what we're going to be doing over the course of the next, 20 or 30 minutes or so. Now, if you're new to lead generation in general, your first thought's probably, Nick, this seems like a very simple, basic system. How the hell does this work? And here I have a big myth to dispel. The myth is that lead generation needs to be sexy or fancy. In reality, it doesn't. All lead gen is, good lead gen, is a button that you press that delivers you $1 every time you press it. Every time you press that button, you get $1. If you find a button out there in the wild that you can press and deliver a consistent, steady stream of dollars, what do? You just try and press that button as fast as humanly possible. This is more or less what all successful lead generation looks like. In our case, we're doing outbound, but ads look like the same thing. The actual process is more or less identical. You come up with some angle, then you have some sort of copywriting, you have some sort of creative, and then you run it. It's just 3 or 4 steps implemented over and over and over and over again. And as long as you can do it 2 or 3% better than everybody else, you can thrive. Now, specifically for outbound, this approach, this sort of 3-step approach, can be generalized a bit, okay? That just means we're kind of zooming out a bit. We're not just scraping leads, recording custom videos, sending via DM or email, but now we're looking at like the shape of the lead gen approach. So basically, the first step is always going to be to find people. The second step is always going to be to give something to those people. And then the third step is going to be to get it in front of them. And, this approach can be mixed and matched with like a million different platforms for numbers 1, number 2, and number 3. What I'm giving you today is I'm just giving you one variant of like a million that does something that I think is, substantially above average, that you can just continue pressing that button until, you get tired of it, or you get rich, or you retire, or, some other cool thing. All right. So that's enough about like the philosophy behind this. Let's actually get into the platforms that we're going to be using. So how do you actually do this for $0? That's the big question on everybody's mind. Now let me just answer that. Basically, the first thing we're going to do is you sign up to Appify. Okay. If you're not a newbie to this channel, I've talked about Appify a lot. What is Appify? Very simple. It is a marketplace of scrapers. Now, Appify gives you $5 in free credit when you sign up. What this means for us is we can leverage this $5 in free credit to get a ton of leads using scrapers like an Instagram scraper, or a Google Maps email extractor, or like a TikTok scraper, or a LinkedIn scraper, or I think I might have said Instagram already. Let's do Twitter scraper, right? There are a variety of data sources we could use, but the point I'm making is with the $5 in free credits, we can go out onto Appify and then we can pull data from one of the many scrapers here. The one we're going to be working with in particular is called an Apollo. I think it's this one here, Apollo scraper, scrape up to 50K leads, code_crafter/Apollo-IO-scraper. And the reason why we're going to be using this one is because all we need to do in order to get this to work is we sign up to a second service called Apollo. Apollo is basically a giant lead database. It's gigantic. It's truly huge. It's one of the biggest like sales intelligence platforms on planet Earth. That's what they call it anyway. And essentially what Apollo allows you to do is it allows you to go and create a list of people. So you can see here, I have some hypothetical ones for general dentists. And then you can take this search URL and you can pay Apollo to find email addresses and phone numbers associated with all these people. So it's basically, if you think about it, like a massive lead marketplace / database, and you pay them a little bit of money. I think their pricing is, 50 credits for free or something. We're going to use way more than that. Yeah, I think their pricing is like $79 a month for the equivalent of 24,000 export credits a year. They keep the pricing intentionally vague and difficult just because they obviously want you to buy and not really be thinking about that. So it looks like it comes out to, it's like $100 a month for 2,000 export credits a month. So you get about 2,000 leads. I'm going to show you how to do all this for free using a great little tactic that is currently set up that you can utilize if you know how to use Appify, which I'll run you guys through in a second. Okay, so what we do first is we sign up to Appify, then we sign up to Apollo, right? The third thing we're going to do is we're going to scrape about 4,000 emails, maybe not 4,000 emails, but 4,000 profiles, which will contain maybe 3,000 or 4,000 emails. And we'll scrape them using a combination of these two platforms. We're going to basically take the URL here, we're going to pump it into Appify, and then it's going to output a big Google Sheet, which I'll show you. Then we're going to write a Twitter and LinkedIn DM template. This is going to be a very short and simple template that we're going to write. That's basically going to say something like, hey, how's it going? I love X, Y, and Z thing about you. So I actually recorded a whole video showing you how you can do other really cool thing. Super quick, super easy. I'm going to give you guys a bunch. And then what we do is combined with the template, we're going to go through site and we're going to record. That's supposed to be an and sign. If you have to explain what the thing is that you just wrote, you probably didn't do a very good job. But we're going to go through each site and we're going to record a Loom video using a platform called Loom. And then 6, we're basically going to combine these. The DM template and the video and send en masse. And en masse here isn't actually going to be en masse because we're going to be paying $0. So we're actually going to do this manually. But you don't actually need to do this en masse in order to win. This whole process that I'm talking about here, this 6-step process, specifically the steps that you're going to be doing over and over and over again are these two right over here. This process might take, I don't know, like 3 minutes or so per lead that goes through your funnel. If you do this 15 times a day, it's about 45 minutes to 50 minutes in total for $0. If you do this for a week, then you'll have reached out to about 105 people a week, 420 people a month. If you do this sort of thing consistently over time, you're virtually guaranteed to get interest. And you're likely going to get it substantially sooner and earlier than you think. I have one disclaimer to make just before I dive into this and actually show you guys what this looks like in practice. And the disclaimer is it is much easier to do this if you're willing to spend a few bucks. Like I'm operating off of a hypothetical constraint here of $0. But if you're like up to spend even, I don't know, like $50 or so, okay, you're going to buy yourself like days of time back in your pocket and your schedule. $50, I know, means different things to different people. So I'm trying to be as accommodating as possible for people at all income levels. But if you are willing to invest a little bit of money into this, you're going to grow substantially faster. You're going to be able to do this sort of directed outreach much easier. So many people in my communities have closed well over $1,000 just in their first week, starting with a less efficient version of what I'm showing you here. And they do so spending, I don't know, $50, $100, $150. At some point, you're going to have to learn to invest money in order to make money. Like, that old adage, got to spend money in order to make money. That adage is true. At some point, you're going to have to sort of like take a step back and realize that the time that you're trading in order to save a certain amount of money is certainly not worth it if you have any sort of reasonable hourly rate. But if this is your very first business, and this is maybe the very first thing you're doing with that very first business, then feel free to do this as sort of like a bootstrap mechanism. Once you've acquired client number one that's paid you a little bit of money, then you can, scale up from there. So, okay, great. Let's actually jump into me doing this for you. And I'm just going to follow this exact system right over here. We're going to sign up to Appify first. We're going to sign up to Apollo. I'm going to show you to scrape 4,000 emails. For every email, we're going to have websites as well. We're going to write a Twitter and LinkedIn DM template that we're just going to like paste across a big Google Sheet. We're then going to go through every site and record a Loom video using a platform called Loom. Then we're just going to combine the DM template with the video, and then we're just going to send it en masse. And I'll show you guys exactly what that looks like. So the very first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to sign up to Appify. All right, so let's sign up here. I'm going to be signing up using one of my many emails. And I have to select all squares with stairs. Pretty straightforward if I do say so myself. Let's just call myself Nick. I'm apparently Endurable Llama. Apparently the username's already taken. I'm Endurable Llama 2. Am I planning to use it via API? Yes. And then I just need to check my email address. So let's take a quick peek. Beautiful, looks like I'm verified. And now in the bottom left-hand corner, if you guys pay close attention, you can see we have $5 in free usage. Wonderful. Now our next step is we need to make an Apollo account, okay? So I'm gonna go to apollo.io. I'm gonna go sign up for free. Good Nick at 1secondcopy.com. Okay, so by signing up, I agree, that's fine, whatever. I think I need to verify. So I'm just gonna go back to that old email address, the same one that I used a moment ago. Let's activate this now. Okay, I'm just going to add a bunch of bull crap. Wonderful. And now we are signing up to, or into, I should say, Apollo, which is fantastic. Okay, we have some onboarding here. I'm a RevOps manager, apparently. I'm skipping. I'm getting started without caring about these credits. And then now I'm just going to go straight over to lists. And all I have to do now is basically find the code crafter Appify scraper right over here. Okay, so as I mentioned, this one is $1.20 per 1,000 leads. So this is about, if you think about it, $5 for about 4,000 leads or so. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to create a list of people that I might be interested in. What do we actually do in order to get the data that we need? Well, all we do is we head over here to Prospect and Enrich, go to People. And then what we want to do is we want to create a search for the sorts of leads that we'll be looking to sell to. And I have a couple of fields here that I've already sort of pre-put out. That way we don't spend a bunch of time having me, think about them from scratch. But these work reasonably well as a first pass. These aren't going to be the most qualified leads, to be clear. You're going to send out a sufficient volume of outreach so that you don't need to spend all this time and energy qualifying. You do about 420 a month. Realistically, if 10% of those people are your qualified target market and open up your email and watch your video, you'll have a relatively high percentage response rate from those. But I'm just going to hypothetically pretend, like off the top of my head here, that I'm doing like recruitment companies or something. So I'm just going to type in recruitment. And this is now my filter, basically, recruitment. Job titles: owner, founder, founder and CEO, founding partner, co-founder, director, founding principal, partner, partner manager, partner account manager, inside the United States at a recruitment business. And now I do one more thing here that most other people don't. When I do my pass, all I do is I run a quick test. And this test is basically meant to see whether or not these companies are companies that I might realistically be interested in working with. So all I do is I open up 10 of these. I think that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess that was 11, but that's okay. I open up 10 of these. And then all I do is I ask myself, is this the sort of company that I could help realistically? So is this in my target niche? Is this company niche, whatever it is? I mean, obviously it depends on like the sort of service that you want to provide, the sorts of systems you want to sell, the sorts of offers you want to put out there. But is this the sort of business that I can realistically tackle? And I just ask myself that question, yes or no. And if the answer is, if I end up getting more than 8 out of those 10 within my target niche, then that means that this is pretty qualified. It's not like the most qualified, obviously. But for me, for somebody that sends out a sufficient volume, I don't worry too much about like the sniper rifle qualification. I care more just about like getting momentum and sending outreach. For me, this is sufficient. So let's actually really quickly do this. Recruitment Advisors. This is a recruitment company. Actually, this looks like it's a recruitment advising company, which works. That's fine. So that's 1. This is 2. This is a recruitment company. Great. This is 3. That's a recruitment company. 4 out of 4. This looks to be very specific to Texas. Realistically, like I'm probably not going to work with people like this, but it's still technically fine. I can still sell them systems. So 5 out of 5. 6 out of 6. I don't know what this is. Autonom AI recruitment. It's kind of tough for me to say, honestly, because they don't have any data. They didn't really list it here. Normally they grab this data from the LinkedIn profile. So let me just take one more peek and see if there's anything. Okay, boutique. Yep, that looks good. This is another recruitment company. Another recruitment company. Another recruitment company. Awesome. So 10 out of 10, basically. 10 out of 10 of the companies that I found on this list with the leads are people that I could realistically reach out to. And if they were to respond to me positively, I could probably do something to help them, right? Like I'm an automation engineer. I work primarily with agencies and recruitment firms and, high ticket SaaS companies. These are all within my target niche. So I'm okay. There's no issues here whatsoever. We're good to run this. Okay. So what we do next is we grab this URL. We just go to the top of the page, copy your URL, then head over to Appify. What you want to do is if I just go back to the store over here, and if I just type in, what was it, Code Crafter? I think it was called Code Crafter, Apollo Scraper, this one right over here, the one that allows you to scrape up to 50K leads. So since we're signed in already, the UX looks a little bit different. All we want to do is we want to paste this puppy in, just like I did here. Total number of records required, just leave it as blank. And for the run options, what you're going to want to do is head over to timeout and just click no timeout. Make sure no timeout is selected. Otherwise, you're going to time out after 5 minutes. It's not going to work. You're probably also going to need to set 512 megabytes of memory. Then you just click save and start. Now, when you save and start, what'll happen is your free usage on the left-hand side will start being used. So I've already run a couple of demos of this just before the video because I wanted to test and make sure that this worked. My free usage is now $4.32 out of 5. Yours will start at 0 and then it'll just slowly creep up. This scraping process, this is going to take a fair amount of time. I mean, I think for me, it was like 20 or 30 minutes or something. So what you're going to want to do is, just make sure, check back in on this tab, make sure this little thing is blue. If at any point in time it's red or there's an X or something, you might have got rate limited. If that happens, just wait like 30 minutes and then try again afterwards. And then when you hit your free usage limit of $5, you'll have scraped somewhere around 4,500 leads, I want to say, approximately, if my math is not absolute crap. And with those 4,500 leads, we can move on to the next step. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've now done the scraping. I'm going to head over to runs here, and I'm going to find a run that I did earlier. This one was 2,300 results for $2.76, so a little bit less than realistically what you can expect to do, but I just didn't want to wait forever and I wanted to be able to proceed with the recording. So feel free to do this down to 4,000 or however many you can scrape before your free usage limit runs out. And look at the way this data is structured. We have a list of leads with their first names, we have their emails back there, headlines, LinkedIn URLs, names, organization IDs, organization LinkedIn URLs. Like we actually have a ton of columns here, right? We have their position. I think we have the websites as well. Yeah, we're going to need the websites here because that's what we're going to be doing our Loom videos with. So we have basically a ton of information. All you need to do here is you need to click Export 2,300 results. Export as a CSV. I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. Then I'm going to go to Import. upload, drag this in. This will now go through my list of 2,300 leads, and then I'm going to import. You don't need to do append. I just, if I don't do this, it creates a new sheet every time, which I don't like because then I have an extra sheet titled Untitled Spreadsheet. Awesome. So now we have all of the data that we need. We have the city, country, departments. We got the email address. We have tons of these weird, scary IDs. We have employment history, the name of their title, the various positions that they've held, and so on and so forth. I mean, Apollo gives you a crap ton of data, as you can see here. But since we're going to be using this Google Sheet as both our CRM and our database, I'm going to want to get rid of most of these columns. So in general, the columns that you need are columns that have some information that you may use during your pitching. So for instance, photo URL, if I paste this in, this might be useful at some point in time. So I'm going to keep this photo URL column in. But stuff like show intent, this is probably just metadata from Apollo, and it realistically doesn't really have any value to us. So feel free to delete that. State, you're going to want to keep sub-departments. Sure. I mean, most of these look like their founder. I don't really think there's much of a difference, to be honest. So I might delete that too. You'll find a bunch of like empty columns. So feel free to delete all of the empty columns as well. Yeah. And then, if we just kind of like scroll all the way through here, you'll see the vast majority of them have to do with the organization and their employment history. So I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to like sanitize this. I'm just going to delete all the columns that I don't really need. Keep in mind that like the next time that you do this, you're going to have to make sure that whatever service you are, whatever export you're bringing in, you do the same manipulations on this if you want to stack them together. Also, you can think of this as like a simple as a simple organization tool. If I call this leads, maybe I separate this into recruiting and then I give it like a date of, I don't know, Jan 20th, 2025. You can use whatever like top level organizer you want in order to set up your leads, but I'm going to do like a really simple one just because I've never really been the most organized person to begin with. Okay, great. So I have my little spreadsheet over here. And what I've done is I've removed 99% of the columns, except for that ugly one and that ugly one. I've removed 99% of the columns that don't really have any value or any predictive utility. Apparently not, actually. Let me just get rid of a couple of additional ones. And then what I'm left with basically is I'm left with all of the ones that I'm going to potentially be using moving forward. Like if you think about it, I have the city, that's useful. Country, useful. I have some email status that could be useful, probably not. Employment history. I have the name or their title at their first job. Obviously their full name. I have like some Facebook pages, which is cool. LinkedIn company pages, organization profile pics, right? I have stuff like their title, first name, last name, their headline, their company name that they're currently with, their website, and then their LinkedIn URL as well. All right, so where does that bring us to? We are now done with the scraping of the leads. We are all good to go there. What we're going to do next is we're going to move to the giving part of our 3-step approach. And in order to do that, we're going to need to record some custom videos. I'll show you how to do that with the spreadsheet. And then after that, we're going to move to sending via DM and email. But yeah, if you're at this point, you basically just scraped over 4,000 leads, which is something that, back in the day, and honestly today, a lot of people will spend the hundreds, if not over $1,000 for. And you just did all this for $0 using like a nifty little method that I showed you. So fantastic. Now it's time to record some videos. Just before we do, since we're using this as our CRM, I have a couple of additional columns I've added here. I've added a LinkedIn URL. The LinkedIn URL is actually part of this. There's also a Twitter URL column, but most of these don't have Twitter URLs, unfortunately. If I were to try filtering this actually, and I were to try removing all blanks, and I were to select this, you can see that only 28 returned entries with Twitter URLs, right? So, if we wanted to do this on Twitter, we'd have to actually go through another manual step. We'd have to find the lead's Twitter. The way that I used to do this, I don't usually do it anymore because it's a massive pain in my ass, is I will take the first name, the last name, and then I'll take the organization name. Then I'll actually just like paste this into Google. And then I'll go like Twitter, and then I'll go X. And basically what I do is, by me copying and pasting that in, there's just a higher likelihood that the profile that is returned from Twitter or X will be the person that I'm looking for, because odds are they'll have like their company listed somewhere on their Twitter, right? This doesn't work all the time, works about 70% of the time, I would say, realistically. Maybe less, maybe like 50 to 70%. Feel free to do that if you want to get the Twitter URL as well, just for the simplicity and the purpose of this video, just so I can keep everything as light as humanly possible and give you guys the stem with which you can add on to. I'm just going to be doing the double tap using the LinkedIn URL and then also their email address. So what I've done is I've filtered all entries that we only have the email addresses, and I've removed all blanks. That has yielded us 1,400 out of the 2,300 or so that we've scraped with emails. So if you're doing like 4,500 or something, you'll probably get somewhere around 3,500. And now that we have all records that have email addresses here, and then, a bunch of LinkedIn URLs, we can basically proceed with the next step of our flow, which is going to be writing a quick template to send them over a LinkedIn DM plus an email address, and then recording a Loom video going in detail about something that we think that we can give them with some amount of value. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do both in a second. What we're going to do first, we're just going to make sure this Google Sheet is all nice and set up. I'm going to give you guys like a couple of quick and easy copywriting hacks that you guys could use. And then we're actually going to go through and then record a Loom video going through their organization. I'm not going to record an actual one. I'm just going to show you guys what the Loom video looks like. I'll download Loom and set it up. And then finally, after we're done, we're just going to check the sent column. And then my KPI recommendation for you is going to be 15 a day. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. That's my daily prescription. But you can imagine how if every one of these takes between 3 to 5 minutes, you do 15 of them, that's like about 45 minutes to an hour. And all you do is, I don't know, you just go X, right? You do your first 15 or something. Was that 15? That was 17. Damn, I was actually pretty close. On day one, and then another 15 on day two, and so on and so forth. Okay, great. So in terms of how this template's going to work, the way that I like to do it is I have my Loom URL over here. And basically what I do is I create a formula. So you can create a formula in Google Sheets really easy. You just go equal. And then what I want to do is I just want to add some text, and then I want to append this Loom video to it. So I'll go concat, I'll go in brackets, and then I'll say, hey, and then I'll concatenate it to, actually, sorry, we can't use concat. We need to go concatenate. That's multiple strings. So I'll go, hey, and then I'm going to go AA. So it should now say AA1. It should now say, sorry, A2. It should now say, hey, Steven, which it does. And then I'm going to add a comma. And then I'm going to go, let's think here. Okay, great. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to wrap these so that I can see them all. Let's go here. And then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so you can see what's going on. And yeah, the template's going to be very simple, very quick, and very easy. It's going to be, hey, first name. I think I can save you / whatever this company is around $5,000 this month. I know it's out of left field, but I recorded a quick video to show you how. I'm a real person. I just did this. And then we paste in the Loom. The whole idea here is just to make people think that this is, well, I mean, it is manual, but to make people think this is as manual a process as possible and that you did a ton of research. Because the second that somebody thinks that you actually went out of your day and you recorded a customized video for them, they sort of feel obligated to at least take a look at it. And we're going to make use of like good thumbnail practice and stuff like that, just to make it so that like they actually see that we are on their profile. We're actually thinking of them and talking to them, which, is going to massively improve the open rate at minimum. So, yeah, this is more or less what we're going to do. What system am I selling? I mean, this is totally up to you, right? In my case, I'm just going to sell like a quick little recruitment CRM, which is going to be pretty straightforward for me to demo, but feel free to sell them like lead generation. Feel free to sell them, I don't know, some sort of cold email system. Feel free to pitch them some sort of proposal generator. Like really, this is where the whole this is your business part comes into play. You can sell them whatever the hell you want. This column here is going to be where we paste the Loom URL. And now you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Loom URL? Well, Loom is a very quick and easy browser tool, basically, that allows you to record videos. You can sign up on their free plan. And I think, check this out, it's $0, but you only get 5 minutes. Yeah, you only get 5 minutes, which is unfortunate. They give you 25 videos. That just means that you're going to have to delete your old videos. As I mentioned, if you're willing to spend a couple of bucks, this makes your life way easier because you don't have to do the redeleting, right? 15 bucks a month, unlimited recording time. But we're going to do this one just for shits and giggles. Pardon my French, because I want to make sure that even people that have no money, no way to start financially, can at least get their business up and running, and then maybe later on, bootstrap and then reinvest their profits. Also, it looks like Loom was acquired by Atlassian. That's new. Anyway, so what happens is you go over here to loom.com. Well, I guess I can't really do this because I'm technically I already own the software. So let me go loom.com and then get Loom for free. You're going to want to sign up over here. Once you've signed up, they'll make you download a Chrome extension. This Chrome extension is a one-click thing. And now all of a sudden, as you can see, I'm recording a video both here, right? And then also down over there. And our video is basically going to be mostly a screen share where we're just showing them our screen. We're going to be on their LinkedIn profile, and then we're going to jump over to the website and then talk with them about some stuff. But this way you get a couple of benefits. Number one, it is very clear this is a real person, right? Like I'm obviously, although a lot of my YouTube comments like to pretend otherwise, I'm obviously a real person. I'm looking over their website. And then two, because the thumbnail of this video is going to show their LinkedIn profile, it's just going to seem like super customized. People are going to see in the meta image and also in the email, like, hey, this person is on my LinkedIn. What the hell? Like this must be something that was at least worth a few seconds of my time. So that's the idea. Once we're done with this, after you're done with the video, basically you get like a little URL that you could paste, and we're just going to paste it in here. And then once we're done all of ours for the day, which is going to be 15, we're just going to go through Gmail and then also send people over a LinkedIn Connect request with the video. Okay. So why don't we give it a try on this fella? He looks pretty cool, pretty well put together. Let's just make sure that he is what we're looking for. Looks to be the co-founder of College Sports Recruitment. So I'm just going to pop this open. A young professional with a specific focus on construction sales and a dedication to youth soccer. I don't actually think that this lead is qualified, actually, now that I'm looking at it. This lead looks like he is not doing a recruitment agency. He's doing the student athlete. Yeah, I don't really care about that. So every now and then you're going to get people like this. Feel free you can do one of two things. You can either go qualified first. You can do like a first pass. And then let me just change my filter so I'm getting all these fields. You can do kind of like qualified as a first pass and then sent afterwards. Or you can just delete the record completely. So I'm just going to paste all of this down below. And then I'm just going to delete the records that I don't really like, the ones that I don't feel are qualified. And then I'm just going to move on to the next one here, which was Jen James. Let's open this puppy up. And then let's also open up the organization URL. Okay, great. So it looks like this person will run Recruitment Manager of the Year. I think they're the founder and director at Achieve Recruitment Ltd. As a seasoned recruitment and talent acquisition specialist, I'm dedicated to helping companies secure and retain top-tier talent for their business. My approach goes beyond a bums-on-seats mentality, focusing on long-term success and the right fit for every role. That looks pretty solid. Awesome. And then they have a really nice, beautiful-looking website. It looks like she is the face of said website, which is obviously great. That means that I can sell something to her directly. And yeah, now all we need to do is we need to record our Loom video. So let me show you guys what this would actually look like in practice. So the very first thing that I would do is I would open up the asset or demo that I'd be interested in selling. So in my case, what I'm going to be trying to sell is I'm going to be selling this recruitment agency project manager. And this is a very simple and straightforward system. Just starting from the top, working my way down. It's a system for when new recruitment leads, aka candidates, come into a pipeline. We add them to our flow, which looks like this. We have an intake status. So this is when people first come in. If you click on the record, you can get a bunch of information about the person. As you see here, this is a template. So I just use the term Peter Lockheed for everybody. But maybe you'd have their CV over here. Maybe you'd have a link to their resume down over here, and you could customize this and add whatever fields you want. And maybe after this, what we do is the candidate proceeds based off of whether or not a recruitment agent likes this person or not. So I'm assuming that this person has started the interview process, or maybe the candidacy process, I should say. And when they do, maybe the recruitment agent moves them to stage one. When stage one happens, it runs an automation in the background that triggers an email sent out to Sarah, which sends her something that says, hey, how's it going, Sarah? We're really excited to have you as part of this process. I just wanted to follow up with you and ask you a couple of quick questions. Let me know what your thoughts are on X, Y, and Z. Maybe inside of this, we send them a form. That form includes a couple of fields, which just asks for their answers to various questions. Then when we receive a form, what we can do is we can actually populate this, or maybe move this from stage one over to stage two. At that point, maybe we send them something else. Maybe we send them a quick trial or a quiz or something. Then we move them over to stage three. And finally, we do some sort of interview, and then maybe we finally present this person to a candidate. So basically, what I just did to you is what I'm going to show to the person that I'm going to be pitching. And as I'm sure you guys can tell, like I'm not a professional at this. I'm not magic at this by any means. I typically just do a lot of sales. I do like high volume stuff. And so because I do high volume stuff, my approach on every individual one doesn't have to be freaking perfect. I just do it enough times, and eventually the person that likes what I have to say, says yes to it. So let me show you what this might look like for somebody like Jen James. Hey, Jen, my name's Nick. I know you probably don't know who I am, and that's okay. I am sitting here on your LinkedIn profile because I work with recruitment agencies similar to Achieve, and I deliver them somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month on a recurring basis. So I work with one right now in New York. They do executive recruiting specifically. I know it's a little bit different from what you guys do. And basically what I did is I just built them out this big, fancy end-to-end pipeline that manages all of their recruitment candidates. And I just really quickly wanted to run you through it. If you're interested in this sort of thing, I would guarantee it. I would give it 100% to you for free. There'd be no strings attached. And I just wanted to see like how you felt about it. So I'm a real human being, as creepy as I am. And I thought that I would just like run you through the system over a quick video, just because I think that this is something that can help you. And I've been looking for people like you in the UK to help anyway. So if you're unfamiliar with this service, it's called ClickUp. It's just like a task manager. And basically what it does is it allows you to customize it to be whatever you want it to be. And so what I've done is I've gone ahead and turned it into like a recruitment candidate pipeline, one that essentially automates a large portion of the recruitment process. So most recruitment agencies that I work with, they tend to have a number of different stages that they take candidates through. And so I've just devised a very simple one here that consists of an intake stage, and then a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, an interview stage, and then a presentation stage where I actually present it to the candidate. We can also disqualify leads or candidates as they come in through the pipeline. And what I've done is I've just attached all of these to various automated actions that do things when you just change the stage. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. This is one called Marie Como. I'm assuming Marie is applying for some job, and maybe, I don't know, we have a client here called Workflow Loop that we're looking to place at some healthcare company for, I don't know, like health tech. And basically the way that this works is when Marie comes into the pipeline, she's given a status of intake. When one of us recruitment people actually looks over Marie, we just give her a quick click, and then we, can kind of read through her CV. Let me do this with Sally. Sally has like a curriculum vitae over here. She has a CV. And then if we scroll down further, we have some fields here that attach her resume. They attach, whatever information you want, really, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I'm currently running this recruitment company that does over $250,000 a month just in top line. They typically take between 15 to 25% of the first year's salary. And this system works extraordinarily well. It's very, very scalable. The reason why is because when you let's say I'm I'm somebody on the team and I'm looking over Marie's resume, and I want I want Marie to move to stage 1. All I need to do is I just go over here to status, I click stage 1. And then this is tied to a number of automated actions that automatically send Marie an email. They automatically give her access to a form. And then they automatically basically ask Marie, hey, we love your application. We think that you're a great candidate to get to know and move forward with. Would you mind filling out some information really quickly in the form that we sent you? Marie then fills out this form, and then when she fills out the form, she's automatically moved down to stage 2, where now we get some notification that tells us, hey, Marie's done this form. Here's a bunch of form info. Here are all the fields that she filled out. Is she a good match or not? If so, we move Marie over to stage 3, and maybe stage 3 involves some sort of, it depends on how you guys do your recruitment flows, maybe some sort of trial project or some sort of task. Before we move Marie over to an interview stage. And then assuming she passes the interview stage, we then pump her down to presenting and actually present her to the client. The really cool part about systems like this is we basically get to automate all of it, and it totally depends on what you want. I know that you probably don't have that simple 3-stage system. Just given how niche down you are with clinical and non-clinical staff within the NHS, you probably have your own process, and you probably know what works really well here. That's kind of like your special sauce, so to speak. So I'd love to just customize this for you, build you out one. It wouldn't cost you a cent. And just given the volume of business that I have a feeling you're probably doing right now, I think that the system would work extraordinarily well for you. And, you have nothing to lose, essentially, giving it a try. If this sounds like something you might be interested in, then just send me a reply to this email. You and I can set up a quick 10 or 15 minute call where I just ask you a couple questions about how you want this to look. And then I can go ahead and deliver it to you in about 48 hours or so before, we can chat about actually implementing this, having some candidates flow through this pipeline and so on and so forth. So yeah, I hope you appreciated this. I know this, again, was sort of out of left field, but this is just typically how I do business and how I acquire clients for my service. So I hope you just appreciate the bluntness and the forwardness. I'm assuming that this does work. I'd love to work with you on a longer term sort of monthly recurring basis. Feel free to Google me if you're skeptical, but I add a ton of value to companies about your size with automation, and I'm relatively well known for it at this point too. Have a lovely rest of the day. Cheers. Bye. Okay, great. So after that, we have a video. In my case, it was 5 minutes basically on the dot, looks like. I copied this puppy over. I just go down to my spreadsheet, and then all I do is for the record, for the person that I just did this video for, I just paste this Loom video here. And now I have basically everything I need in order to go ahead and actually send this message. So she's qualified. What I would do, if I were actually doing this at scale for my 15 of the day, is I would go through 15 of these profiles, all with their own organization website. So you're going to want to make sure that like you're filtering out all blanks for people that only have websites, just to make it really easy for you. I'd add 15 Loom videos here. And then all I do is I'd go to the LinkedIn URLs. I would add a connect request. I'd add a note. And keep in mind, you're going to be character limited here. So I don't know if our message is necessarily going to work. It might be a little bit long. Oh, no, it's not. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting. And then I'm just going to paste it in. And, feel free to customize this however much you like. Like once you have this window open, if you think about it, like every additional second you spend here customizing this as something you found on their website or something that you like about them, is going to add you some additional probability of them accepting your connection request and then, moving forward with you. But yeah, I'm just going to send this over as is. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you. I'm going to send this over as is, and then I'm going to go over to my email address. Then I'll go over here, paste the same thing in. Then I'm just going to grab Jen's email, which was somewhere around here. Okay, I'm actually going to grab her email. I'm just going to go Jen James at whatever, achieverecruitment.co.uk. I'm just assuming this is her email, but obviously I'm not going to paste it in. And then, for subject lines, kind of depends on what you want. Just tried to connect with you on LinkedIn, ... That works reasonably well, I find. Or you could say, Jen just tried to connect with you on LinkedIn. Some sort of variation of that's fine. The cool part about email is when you do an email like this, and actually when you do LinkedIn a lot of the time, you get this as well in like the little connection message box. You get like an embedded GIF preview. But when you do it over email, you actually see how like it's my face and then it's her profile. And so she can actually see that I'm on her profile right now. The one thing I kind of screwed up with this video, now that I'm thinking about it, is I just didn't scroll up and down at the very beginning. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to scroll up and down at the beginning. That way she doesn't think this is just a screenshot. It's actually like me physically visiting, or you could zoom in on stuff or whatever, but just have some sort of dynamic for a second. And then, yeah, that's more or less it. Just going to go Nick. I'll send this off, and then voila, we're done. We're done one piece of lead outreach today, which is fantastic. So all I would do if I were in your guys' shoes is I would take this and then I would scale this approach up. Presumably not all these people that I'm reaching out to, Mike, Heather, Heidi, Jeff, Michelle, they're not all going to look at our messages for one, but two, they're also probably not all going to be in a space where they need the message. Maybe the person that I just sent it over to doesn't actually care about this, or maybe, I don't know, they don't actually run this business or something. Maybe they have like a LinkedIn company, but they haven't touched it in like a few years. So a lot of these pieces of outreach you're going to be saying, they aren't necessarily going to be qualified. But given just how easy it is to get up and running, given that there's no additional cost, or you don't need to sign up for anything, no make.com account, no N8N account, no paid Apollo.io account, no paid Appify account. This is about as close as you can get to like a free outreach method that still allows you to squeeze the highest ROI out of every lead. And it's personally the one that, I would recommend you do. So yeah, we just go down the list. We'd add all of the Loom videos here for, fill this in with the actual videos, of course. We'd qualify all these. And then basically every day, my recommendation for you would be to do 15 and no more than 15 to start. In terms of my prescribed here, yeah, I'd go 15 per day. And then the one thing that I didn't really cover in this video was to send them a Stripe and PayPal invoice. So Stripe and PayPal are both free to sign up for. Basically, once you have somebody on a call or somebody that's interested in you, sending or receiving some money, and the actual sales call is a whole different story. Feel free to check my channel for videos on how to do and structure the sorts of sales calls I'm talking about specifically. You can also jump over to Maker School and then grab like an actual sales skeleton resource over here, which actually guides you through what my process looks like every time. But once you have them on the call, the question is obviously, how do I, make money out of them? My recommendation for you is to send them a free invoice using either this service here called Stripe, which allows you to very quickly get up and running with an invoice. They'll charge you 2.9% plus, I think, 30 cents for every dollar that you make. Not every dollar, but per successful charge for any domestic cards. And then I think they charge you some additional ones if they're like, I don't know, like outside of the country or something like that. And then for PayPal, it's the same thing. I think their pricing is a little bit higher and they tend to have pretty poor exchange rates, but all you need to do is just pump their email into an invoice with like the line item for whatever the services that you're providing. Presumably, because you're going to be offering something for free, at least initially, you're going to have to offer some very big guarantee, like, hey, I'm going to make you this much money. Hey, I'm going to save you this much money. Hey, I'm going to get you this many booked meetings, leads, or whatever. So presumably, the very beginning of your work is going to be free, or it's going to be very low cost. But the second that you're done with that, you can get into charging actual money to do similar related services. The quickest and easiest way to do that is by charging somebody an hourly rate for implementation. It's not the most scalable way, but it's easily like the most simple way for beginners to get up and running. If I could just, right before I call this a day here, if I could grab my trusty Excalidraw. Once you're done with that, you're probably going to have some sort of free project. Or, sometimes you'll find people that are just going to want to pay you regardless, especially if you're new. So it'll be A or B, low paid. I usually do the low paid personally. When I have people that reach out to me, I always like to pay them because it makes them a lot more motivated. I just had a great guy reach out to me and offer to do like social media management for me. And I was like, well, how much do you want for this? And he was like, $1,000. And I was like, I'll pay you $1,500. And now he's doing an incredible job. But anyway, so both of these are going to go into some sort of low paid project. The simplest way to get started here is with like an hourly. Hourly is basically just like the 0 to 1. Like if this free project here is like 0, then hourly is like 1. And basically like hourly just means, you could charge, I don't know, like let's say $35 an hour. And for every hour of your time, you get $35 and then they get some sort of value exchange between like a service you provide. And maybe the service is you touching up that system that I showed you guys a moment ago on ClickUp. Maybe the service is you building some automation or signing into make.com, or who knows, maybe the service isn't related to automation at all. Maybe they like your outreach so much. They're like, hey, I really liked what you did with me. I want you to do it for me professionally. I'll pay you $35 an hour for it plus 10% of closed deals. Obviously, once you're at the point where you're actually in a room with a business owner, 99% of your work is done. The sales part, although, most people think it's the hardest part, the sales part's also like the highest ROI part. Every minute you spend in that call, is a minute with basically infinite opportunity. But okay, and then after you do hourly, my recommendation for you would be to start selling some sort of like fixed project. So fixed price project, which now instead of it being like $35 an hour, what you do is you do like $2,000 for some sort of like, productized package. And then after the, fixed rate, and maybe don't do $2,000 exactly. Maybe do like, I don't know, like 2,103 or something. Maybe 2,150. If you just start charging like flat amounts, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, people oftentimes think you're just pulling those numbers out of your ass. But basically what you do now is you offer some productized, like fulfilled package in the $2,150, which is cool. And then from there, what you do is you go retainer or subscription, which is where now you charge somebody like a flat amount, maybe $3,550. And instead of it being an hour, you do per month. Okay. This is typically how pricing progresses. Typically if you're like a beginner, you start kind of all the way over here. You do the low paid or free stuff. Then eventually you go retainer or subscription. Like I do, for instance. I hope I spelled beginner right. Beginner, and then let's just go experienced. And then over here is sort of like, like amateur. Yeah, awesome. I hope that makes sense. So just to recap, this three-pronged approach you can employ in basically whatever way you want. You always start with some sort of like data getting or data finding. You need to find the people that you're going to be doing the outreach to, right? From there, you need to give them something that's free or high value. In my case, I gave them a walkthrough of a pipeline that I'm guaranteeing for free, assuming that they're interested in my offer. Then I come in and then I implement the pipeline. And then when they see how good I am, the idea is that I can very easily upsell or cross-sell them to some different service. And then after that, you need to find a way to actually deliver this to them, because it's one thing to like record a customized video and have that sitting in your inbox, another thing to actually send it over. And so in our case, our delivery mechanism here was to send via DM and email. And I gave you a couple of potential platforms you could do: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. As you saw, LinkedIn was the one that was automatically enriched with the Apollo leads that we were getting. But there are also a lot of ways to get like Instagram and Twitter profiles. And then, yeah, that's our 3-pronged approach. You can mix and match this with whatever the hell you want. And then in terms of how you do this with $0, as I mentioned, if you add a little bit of fuel to the fire and you're willing to spend like 50 or $100 or something like that, this whole process can get a lot better and you can get a lot more qualified a lead base. You could scrape like LinkedIn jobs, for instance, instead of necessarily just, a basic Apollo list or something. Probably get 3 or 4 times higher response rate that way. But just given how limited we were, this is where I would start if I had $0, and I absolutely was not up to paying even even $1 in order to get my leads. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Really appreciated all of your views and your comments in the last few videos of mine. I've had a lot of success on YouTube more generally, and all of it is because of people like you that watch all the way to the end. So thank you very much. Yeah, just leave a comment down below if you guys, want anything in addition to what I've talked about here, or maybe if something that I've mentioned here wasn't clear. Otherwise, you guys can do me a big solid, like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. I'll catch y'all guys in the next video. Cheers.